The real reason why you haven't gotten your first wholesaling deal yet. What is up, guys? Zach in here, and in today's video, I really want to share exactly why you haven't gotten your first wholesaling real estate deal, and most importantly, what you should do about it. And really what I want to do is really open your eyes up to the entire wholesaling real estate industry, the entire wholesaling real estate business, and really share with you some key lessons that you need to know if you haven't gotten your first wholesaling deal, so you can make exactly the changes you need to so you can actually become successful. What I really want to break down is my 1,000 deals experience in wholesaling real estate and the millions of dollars I've made, and really most importantly, the hundreds of thousands of lives I've changed in wholesaling real estate. And I can tell you, I've seen people struggle for months and months and months and then finally get their first deal. I find people get their first deal really quick and instantly and fast. And honestly, like, a lot of it comes from a learning curve, a lot of it comes from just trial and error, and a lot of it just comes from people. And I'm going to just really talk about what it really takes to get your first wholesaling deal and really what you need to know. But before I get into it, do me a big favor. Make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe. I appreciate everybody who hops on these things, everybody that comes in and watches and learns exactly what to do and how to become successful, right? So make sure you all hit that like button and subscribe, comment below your questions, and I'd love to help as many people as possible today learn wholesaling real estate and really get the best success possible. But we really got to talk about this starting out. If you haven't gotten your first wholesaling real estate deal, what should you do? And I think the first thing people think is, I should panic. I should flip out. And then you got 4 or 5 other gurus saying, if you haven't gotten your first wholesaling deal, it's because you haven't done this one thing. Pay me $5,000, I'll teach you it all. It drives me crazy, right? We are in an information age in wholesaling real estate where wholesaling real estate knowledge is absolutely for free. Anyone really can go learn wholesaling for free, and there's really no thing that's going to affect it or change them actually becoming successful, right? A lot of things in wholesaling has changed in the past 10 years, but one thing I can tell you is it's actually easier than ever to get your first wholesaling deal. First of all, the information is not put away and it's in this hidden chart and vault where you can't get to anymore. It's pretty much out and free on the internet. So I think the first misconception some people get is they feel like the secret door where people are talking, that's where the real money's at. That's where the real thing is, because it's not, okay? And I can tell everybody watching this, there's no secret method or super secret society or group that's going to give you all the wholesaling riches in the world. I meet with people basically on a monthly basis that make way more money than me in wholesaling real estate. I'm talking tens and tens of millions of dollars, real estate investing and all these things. And they've never listened to anything I've said, and they're able to make tens of millions of dollars. And there's people that have these secret groups that they're broke gurus and they actually know what they're talking about, right? And they listen to me all the time. And they got people that don't listen to me that do well and people that don't, and all these things. So like, I can tell you is, yes, I like to say that I am, the one-stop shop. I am the expert genius, Mozart, Einstein of wholesaling. I'm the greatest ever. I'm the best wholesaler ever, and no one can beat me. And I mean, a lot of wholesalers can't beat me, and I would say I'm top 1 of the 1%, like tippy top when it comes to skill set, but I'm not the best, or I'm not the richest, wholesaler in the world. I've not made $100 million in wholesaling yet, but I'm working on it. But what I could tell you is there's plenty of people that have learned without my knowledge that became very successful. So and there's people that aren't successful that learn from me, and people that listen to me and they do very well, right? There's a lot of factors out here, but the one thing I can tell you is there's not this one person or this one guy or this one secret that it's going to help you change everything. And I think that's the first thing we got to understand in wholesaling real estate, that it's not about you going out here and learning exactly the key for everything, right? There's not one big secret, and you guys seen this all the time. I think you guys are smart enough. There's all these little scams and DMs and new products out here that's, take this pill, you're gonna get a 6-pack. There's the secret to everything that's going to change your life. It's not the thing, okay? I think that's the first thing you got to understand when it comes to not getting your first deal. I think the first problem so many wholesalers have is they have this analysis paralysis, but it's a deeper layer than that. I sort of call it information paralysis because of the huge advent, the huge influx of information, of really free information about wholesaling, right? And ever since I started giving out free wholesaling content and free wholesaling courses, the gurus had to give some free stuff out just to try to lure you in even more because their stuff wasn't selling. And because of this, more wholesaling information is coming in out from the ether, it seems like, into you guys on YouTube, right? Like it's coming out of everywhere. And the main issue with that is a lot of people, they listen to all these types of people on exactly what to do, how to do this, this, and this, and all these things. And it gets really confusing. Like I remember sitting down today thinking about like how to write this video. All I literally did is I went on YouTube because the Dolphins didn't play today. We're not going to talk about that game. But I was kind of looking at all these YouTube, and all I literally did was I just searched how to start wholesaling. And I looked at like 4 or 5 of the top ones, the middle ones that don't get a lot of views. And I kind of just looked at them, you know, like if I'm a beginner, I'm going to search it. How do I do this, right? Because I actually made that internet search when I started out 2017, 2016. And it's kind of funny what I saw there. They're like 2-minute videos, how to wholesale houses. It's kind of funny. It's like, you really teach me wholesaling in 2 minutes. But I was sort of watching them, and I didn't watch mine at all. I would probably say a quarter of them were pretty good. Like you know, decent information. The other 75% was just utter garbage. And I'm not saying who, but like I was watching them, I was like, holy moly. And I look and I'm like, you don't show one check, not one do whatever. But like I'm like, geez. And I don't think it was good info, but like if I mix and matched all the info together, it's really confusing because one guy or gal is going to say cold call using this script, then cold call this list, but don't do this list, but text this list, do this, but you got to pay me to learn this. Also do this crazy new strategy, put this on here, add this little thing over, take over this lady's contract, do this crazy thing, have them sign. Like I was getting overwhelmed just looking at it because it's so crazy. Because I always forget, because most of these YouTube videos are trying to sell you on courses and mentorship and stuff. I always look at the subconscious on these videos. Now there's 25%, I would say pretty good, cream of the crop, good stuff. But like the other information, I'm just looking at all these people getting information. It's just like, they're all confusing on purpose and then selling you a course to simplify things. And it's really learning how to cook something in different cultures. And that's the way I look at it. So one example I can tell you is if I want to learn how to make really good rice for dinner, okay, I might go first to Japan and they'll show me how to make really good rice. And then I might go to Mexico, and the way they make rice in Mexico is a lot different than they make in Japan. It's still amazing, right? But like it's different. I might see how Puerto Ricans make rice, right? And then I can go to India and see how they make rice, right? And then I go all over the world and see how they make rice. And if I combine a little bit from everything and I make my own little rice dish for dinner, it's going to taste terrible. All right. There's going to be spiciness. There's going to be something sour in it. There's going to be some crazy stuff everywhere. There's going to be some crazy fish in it. There's going to be like, if I take just a little piece from everyone and mix it together, not in a good context, it's going to be terrible. Like absolutely terrible. Okay. Because you're not listening to one particular type of it and you just mix and match what you think, it's going to be terrible. And I think a lot of people are starting to do that. You know, they're learning how to, you know, maybe add soy sauce in the rice, but also I'm going to add spicy curry, and then I'm going to like do this crazy. And then you just mix all these things together. It'd be terrible. Right. And I think that's the problem a lot of people have. They listen to 5 or 6 different people how to cold call, and they kind of mix and match their own script together, and it looks like a literal Frankenstein. You know, like they're stitching things together, just don't look right. Okay, they put a foot on the arm, and then they put the head on the you know, the femur. Like it just looks weird. They're starting to stitch things, but like it's not cohesive. And I think a lot of wholesalers are having this problem where, number one, why they're not getting a deal is because they're information overloading themselves. They're trying to learn everything at the same time, and it's absolutely terrible. It's like, you know, use a sports analogy. I'm sorry to say this, but like it's like playing football when you're running schemes at once. It's like running the Wildcat while running the West Coast offense, by running the spread, and then on that, let's add a pro style offense and then mix it up into one play. It's like, it ain't gonna work. Like this is not cohesive. And you just gotta understand that. I think so many wholesalers feel like they can mix and match things and make it like a star basketball team, right? Where I got a really good center, I got LeBron here, but I also need a shooter. Like it doesn't work like that, okay? Like you gotta stick to some principles and you gotta really simplify things. And the number one thing I can tell everybody who's watching this video is if you really wanna simplify these things, and a lot of people have talked about like this. A lot of people have explained wholesaling and a lot of people explain it, but the best way to explain wholesaling, and after talking to people that make tens and tens of millions of dollars a year, people make millions, people make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. I talk to basically every single top wholesaler. I'd say 98% of the top wholesalers, top 1% of income earners have DM me or DM me or have them in my contacts on my phone. They all ask me a bunch of stuff. Okay. I got one asking me some interesting stuff right now about virtual markets. But like behind the scenes, I always talk to them. I always get information. I like seeing what's working on a high level, right? And this is stuff I give back to you guys. So a lot of them, they want information, they want to start a YouTube channel. I kind of help them out a little, and then I get some information from them, right? And it helps me in my own wholesaling business. We do JV deals. It's great, right? It's they're like hidden masterminds, and I don't pay, right? They just got my phone and I talk to them, right? But like one really important thing I can tell you is after talking to all of them, they all work their businesses like assembly lines and conveyor belts. And what do I mean by this? What I mean by this is they work their businesses just like an assembly or a conveyor belt. And if you want to think of a conveyor belt, one really important thing I've always seen when it comes to conveyor belt systems or assembly lines, you kind of look at like how Henry Ford did things, right? Henry Ford had an assembly line, which was revolutionary at the time, right? Like you put the wheel on the chassis, and then you kind of put the seats on there, and then you start putting the engine on, and you kind of do it. Every single person does a little thing down the line, and it makes it so much faster. And an assembly line is sort of the same way, just with manufacturing where, okay, so if we're going to make, I don't know, something, right? Let's say we're going to make a hat, we got the stitching on here, and then we got the other stitching you're going to add on there, and then add it on the other page, right? Maybe make the paper for something, then you print it, and then you go down the line. Wholesaling real estate is really a three-pronged assembly line approach. And really, I don't care how anyone does their wholesaling business, 99% of them really do it on a three-pronged approach, because that's what wholesaling real estate fundamentally is, right? And wholesaling real estate fundamentally, at the end of the day for everything, is marketing, acquisitions, and disposition. That is, you can mix it up, mash it up, do whatever you want. But if you are a wholesaler doing wholesaling real estate, you are really using this conveyor belt. What this means is you take a lead in, so you go out looking for leads, you put it to acquisitions, and then you convert that yes into a contract. And then that contract goes to dispositions, and that contract is sold for an assignment fee, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40, 50, whatever price it is, like a lot of money, right? And that is how the assembly line process works. And if you look at an assembly line, right, and I am not proud to say this, but as someone that had to take a lot of classes on operation management, supply chain issues, and all these crazy things that I don't know why I took all these classes, but I took a lot of like supply chain university classes and operation management. And, after like going on like 2 or 3 of those type of classes for operations for businesses, I learned one thing. And I'll tell you, like, I would say college is kind of pretty much is a scam. I mean, I got paid to go to college, and I always had leftover scholarship money for everything I did. But like one thing I'll share with you guys, I'll share an interesting experience, which is something that it took me like I'd say a year or two into the business to really learn scaling up really well, that I kind of learned that class, but I didn't really use it till now. And this is kind of me thinking to other people. It's like the bottleneck approach. I never had this issue, so I never really thought about it until I started teaching people this. But like the biggest issue in like an operation management system, when you have a conveyor belt, you got leads, you got things like this coming in, you're manufacturing. The biggest issue, you saw this in 2020 a lot, just with businesses around the globe, but like this is bottlenecks, right? Bottlenecks are going to be the worst possible thing you can have in a business. And really what a bottleneck is, if I can use like a synonym for it, is basically just like if you got one end of a bottle that's like really thin and everything is going through it, it's going to be a lot slower to get that done, right? It's pretty simple, right? It's like you have an 8-lane highway, and the highway for like 10 miles goes down to 2 lanes. It's really going to slow things up. If you ever travel and then you get some person gets an accident and there's 3 lanes that are cut off and they got to merge at like a 5 o'clock, it's an insane, like it just slows down the process. And for a lot of businesses, that's always the biggest issue. You got this bottleneck, right? You got the cash buyers coming in, you got really good acquisitions, but the main bottleneck in so many people's businesses right now is just the market, right? And it's just feeding leads. That's the one thing I want people to understand. You have to feed your leads to create that fuel. And the main engine to this conveyor belt system is there's 3, but the main component, and the one you should be spending 70, even 80% of your time, if you're getting good with cash buyers, you can do 80. If you struggle with cash buyers, probably do 70% of your time, is just marketing. Marketing is the fuel. Marketing is the thing that starts the engine running, because how am I going to start selling contracts if I can't even get a contract? And then you look like, how do I get a contract if I don't have any leads? So it's all the blame game until you get to marketing. So if I want to start this assembly line going, you got 2 people down the line waiting to work on the things. Hey, I'm working on closing leads and I got to work on selling the deal. Well, I'm waiting on my man marketing over here, right? And so you want to understand what the fuel is. The reason why you haven't gotten a deal most likely, and I talked to thousands of people that are struggling to get in the first deal. It's marketing. It's not having enough fuel. The assembly line's not running, and it's not running smoothly, or it stops all the time because the marketing's not running. And I can tell you that acquisitions and dispositions can deal with it. And I promise a lot of you guys can deal with it. And a lot of people, like, I call it the fuel, I call it the gas, I call it whatever you want for it. But like when a car stops running, especially a lot of new wholesalers out here, they like to blame it, right? Like you don't look at the gas tank, the car just stops running. Oh, the car broke down. A lot of people this is how people are looking at their business right now. The car is broken down the side of the road and they're like, you know what? Car is not moving, Zach. It is your fault. This car sucks. It's terrible. It's the worst car in the world. You know, if I had a different car, I'd still be running. And y'all's gas tank is empty and you're blaming the car when really you should be blaming the gasoline. There's no gas, there's no fuel in this thing. How can we actually get going if you have no fuel? And so if the assembly line is a car, which I mean, there kind of is, kind of like it's kind of like an assembly line. If you look at it, like you put gas, start the engine, it runs, and then the wheels start going, right? Like you kind of look at it like that. If you got no gas, that's going to be a big bottleneck. Now, I can tell you is, yes, sometimes the engine's breaking down and that's the problem. There's full of gas, right? And maybe it's a bad acquisitions issue or dispositions issue, but rarely, and I'll tell you rarely, 90, maybe at worst, 80% of people struggling at their first deal all comes down to the marketing side. And you ever wonder why I focus so hard on marketing when I'm teaching? Or why do you think the biggest module in wholesaling real estate in freewholesaling.com is marketing? Because that's where 80 to 9% of people struggle. And that's where the real work in wholesaling real estate is. Finding the deal is always going to be the hardest part. And even when the markets start crashing, still finding deals is going to be the hardest part. Because with the advent of technology, Facebook groups, for rents, all these things that really weren't a thing in the last crash, it's easier than ever to find people looking to buy property and cash buyers. And really, if your population is decent enough, that really should be not the least of your concern, but like not an insane big deal. When marketing should be the main factor, right? And the main issue people have with marketing is they're doing what everyone else is doing and they're expecting a different result. And that's not how you should be doing it. A lot of you guys are blaming the car when most of the time y'all should be out here blaming the gas. And you're looking at it, I think a lot of wholesalers are like, well, how do I know if I'm running out of gas? How many leads you got? How many leads did you have in the first week of December? How many leads? How many leads first week of January, February? Like you gotta look at this stuff. And you know, that's not really even the gas tank, right? And that's just how many leads you have is an indicator. It is an indicator, but like I think the main indicator is how many offers you do give. And marketing does come down to acquisitions with offers, but like that conveyor belt isn't producing anything without any offers. It's not producing anything with any cash buyers. It's not producing anything with any leads. But offers and leads are going to be really important. And how do you produce leads with your marketing? And a lot of you guys just look at the leads you're producing. Look at your marketing. How much are you doing? Like how much gas are you putting in the tank? And so my biggest issue, and I want everyone to understand this, is I do one-on-ones. I love talking to everybody one-on-one. Hopefully I talked to some people one-on-one today. I love doing it. I'm here to help everyone, right? I do it absolutely for free because I want to help the people. But the one thing I have to tell you is if you put, let's say, 2 gallons of gas in your car and you wanted to drive from if you want to drive from New York to LA on $6 worth of gas and you come to me and you say, Zach, this car is terrible and it didn't get me to where I wanted because the car is terrible. I need a new car and I want to flip. I want to get a new car. And this is, I drove this thing in a Ford Excursion and honestly, I really need to Escalade. That's really what's going to change. I'm going to put 4 gallons of gas and it's going to get me from New York to LA. I'm like, what? Legit, people come to me, especially these one-on-ones, and I'm not blaming anyone. Everyone can come up. If you're vulnerable, I no judgment. I still don't judge at this part, but I do have to give some people some reality checks. You know, if you want to go 1,000 miles in a car and you're only going to put 3 gallons in it, you should expect at most to go 100, 120 miles. You have like a really good Prius type car, right? And I just got to look realistic to you. You can't expect crazy things. People cold call 100 sellers, like literally just make 100 dials and expect to make 100 grand. And it's kind of funny because I remember starting this business making 100 dials like every hour, every other hour for 5 hours straight, 5 days a week for a year straight. I remember getting up at 4:30, 5 a.m. to put 50 bandit signs out before I went on a wrestling tournament while I was cutting weight. I remember going out here trying for dollars for hours and hours on end. And it's kind of funny, and a lot of people have these crazy expectations and your expectations have to match the marketing. Your expectations have to match your action. And I've always had one mantra and I'll always say it and I'll keep saying it forever, but it's true. Action equals results. So if you come up to me and you say, Zach, I want this result, I'll ask, what action are you going to take to equate that result? And I have asked everybody and I get some people that give me answers and I get some people that don't give me answers. But the ones that always become successful, the ones that always get the deals, the ones that always do well, they give me a result they want and they tell me what action they're going to take. Half of the people, they will not do the action that they say they are going to do. And that's okay. Some people can't do that. But I'll tell you, the people that match the action with the result it takes, those are the dangerous dangerous people. Those are the people who actually know what they want and they go after it. A lot of wholesalers can't do that, and a lot of wholesalers don't, or they won't want to. But action equals results. And I can tell you is, spending 45 minutes figuring out ARV is probably not the best use of your time. I think a lot of wholesalers get that really confused. But yeah, and I'll tell you one thing about cars and wholesaling and all these things. But like a lot of y'all will literally put some of y'all will put diesel in a regular car and expect it to go, or they'll put like this trash gas that's like half water, half gas, and they expect these crazy results too. They might do the work, but their work is not matching the actual good. So when they, I put 100 gallons in my car. What kind of fuel did you use? I kind of make my own fuel out of corn and whiskey, and I kind of mixed it up and I put it in the car and it's not going. It's probably the car that's the problem. I get people that come up to me and say, Zach, I'm cold calling, but I'm using this guru script because I think this guru script is going to work. Even though this guru, he's driving the fancy car, but he never really shows checks anymore. But that's okay, because he has a cool car or he has this great personality. I love that. Someone said, this guy's he's a great personality though. I'm like, stuff ain't working. His info's trash. I care less about his personality. Is personality going to get you some money in the bank account? No, it ain't. Okay. Go listen to some like Dave Chappelle or someone hilarious, Gabriel Iglesias, if you want some personality, right? Go listen to some stand-up comment if you want some personality. Okay. Like this ain't the place for personality. Okay. This is a place for making money. And if you're using terrible gas, terrible fuel for your marketing, how do you expect to hit the results? It drives me crazy, but like you can't expect results if you don't put in the work. And I want everybody to watch this and understand it. And now I'm going to use one more analogy that works very well for marketing. And I know I'm the analogy guy today, but it helps me really visualize how to get deals and what to do. And really the moral of the story here today is if you're not going far in the car you want to go, put more gas, figure out what's wrong with the car. So if you're marketing like crazy and you're not getting any deals, and guys, this is 20%, which remember, now I'm talking to 20% of the audience. I'm mostly talking to 80%. That's most of the people. But let me talk to 20% of the people watching. Maybe you are putting the right fuel in your car. Maybe the car's just got a faulty problem in it, right? Maybe the tires are flat or something like, right? Hop on the one-on-one and talk to me. I would love to talk to you. I actually talk to some people like this on a weekly basis where their marketing's good, but their acquisition stinks, the way they give offers stinks, and they have a lot of these issues. And maybe they're going through the wrong list. Maybe they have the terrible guru script, like some of these things. And I have plenty of people where they have a terrible script and I switch up their script and boom, they start getting leads, right? And I remember one guy I was talking to and he was struggling and I'm like, dude, you're in a terrible market. Go to this market instead, this virtual market. And like lo and behold, boom, started getting deals because he was marketing well, but he was just in a terrible market. Switched up markets, boom, perfect. Because I knew he had a problem with his oil. He just needed more oil in his car, right? Like that's the way I look at it. It's not the gas, it's the oil, right? And I can go under the hood and look at it. And I can audit anyone's wholesaling business pretty quick, but I'm going to ask you the most questions, right? And it's always funny the way I look at it, but like it's the honest truth. And for most people's problems with their wholesaling cars is they just want to put gas in it. And I can go down the line on the most common parts till I hit that thing, right? And I've had very rare ones, right? I've had people where their main issues, they didn't ask the right questions or they had a bad title company, all the way to I don't know how to get lowball offers the right way, or I'm so stuck on comps and I'm not giving up, like too scared to talk to people. There's so many of these type of things out here. You just got to learn what to do. The next part is marketing is a casino. And what I mean by this, right? And I think this is a very important part, but like, how do you win in a casino? First of all, the house is always going to be the winner. But the cool part about it is when you're betting differently in wholesaling versus a casino. Because wholesaling is like a casino. But the coolest part about the wholesaling real estate marketing casino is you have the advantage. The house doesn't have the advantage in wholesaling. You have the advantage. And you don't really bet money too much. You bet some time, right? I say, but you're betting on yourself. And that's the coolest part. You're not betting on some roulette thing to hit or something like sometimes you are, but like most of the time you're betting on yourself. And if you're going to bet on yourself, you better hope you do as good as you can. And if you bet on yourself and you absolutely don't do well, who's there to blame? Yourself. And that's a lot of accountability to have. And the next part about marketing is it is a numbers game, right? Like, and you look at casinos, it's a numbers game, right? So like if I'm playing roulette and I hit and I put it on even, okay? I think even's black, right? Even. I hit on, or no, there's black, red, and then even odd, right? I put it on even. Theoretically, I think there's a 49% chance it's even, right? Because they got the two greens on each side, right? 198 divided by 2, 47.5 or something like that, right? That it's going to hit, let's call it 48, 49%. It's going to hit odd or even, right? Theoretically, if I bet 100 times, I'm going to win it 48, 49 times, right? Maybe 47. Over a long period of time, I know what I'm going to get. If I do just 3 bets, I might win 80%. I might win 20%. It's very rare in the short term. But the one thing is, if I just want a chance of winning something, if I play at least 3 times, I'm going to guarantee myself I'm going to get something, right? And wholesaling is like that. It's like playing roulette, but you're playing on the numbers instead. You're not playing on even or odd. There's no 50% chance to get a deal for something unless you get the crazy numbers. It's like betting on the number 17, okay? If I bet like 100 times, I'm probably going to hit 17. I might have to get 200 till I hit 17. Sometimes I get 17 on the first hit. Maybe on the second, ball roll, I get 17. Maybe I have to go 400 before I hit 17. Maybe it's 100. But over time, if I bet 10,000 times, overall, it's probably going to be 1 out of 100. But in the short term for a month, it might be 1 out of 300. And I might have a month where it's 1 out of 50. Like it ebbs and flows, but over time, it's 1 out of 100. And wholesaling's like that. It's like, how do I win at the casino? Just like keep betting more. And you don't bet money, you bet on yourself. And the best analogy of this is like, just keep cold calling leads. It's a game. So if I'm cold calling code violations, it's like usually for code violations, you pull at least 300-400. And if you can reverse drive for dollars or cold call that list, you're going to get a couple good leads, most likely a deal at 400 to 500, right? And so that is like betting on 17 when the wheel's a little bigger. And maybe you hit on your 50th call, you get a deal. Maybe on your 400th call, you get a deal. Like, are we going to cry and complain? Just keep playing the game. And there is some element of luck to wholesaling. And that's why I don't call it car. Like, it is like cars and fuel, but like there is an element to luck. Lady luck has to be in your favor sometimes. Sometimes you pull a list, you get really lucky, you get a deal the first call. I was talking to one guy, he got his first call. Like code violations, first call, boom, deal. I had guys, they call for months and they don't get a deal, right? Lady luck can sometimes be a gift and a curse for you. You got to figure it out, but like it ebbs and flows sometimes. But the honest truth is, bet on yourself and you'll do well. And that's the one main reason I'm going to tell you is, so if you haven't gotten your first wholesaling deal and you're watching this video, I would probably say 80-90% of your problems with the marketing. So change it, right? Pull the right lists, do the right scripts, learn everything we do at freewholesaling.com, my free real estate wholesaling course, and you'll be well on your way to wholesaling real estate success. If you got any questions, I'd love to answer them. But yeah, guys, just go to freewholesaling.com and I'd love to help you all out and really see it. But